Good morning from Lille, and welcome to the Interreg Europe webinar series dedicated to project applicants, the ones who are working now on the project applications and are planning to apply within the third call for proposals. Today we are organizing, and this week indeed, we are organizing Lead Applicant Week. And it's all week full of webinars. And every day we will be talking on a different subject. My name is Irma Strauskaitė-Deny. I am head of communication unit, and I will be moderating today's webinar. So as you see, during this week, together with you, the ones who are preparing project applications, we will be talking about different subjects. Today, we will talk about the building successful partnership. Tomorrow, we will be talking about how to design the project methodology. On Wednesday, it's the day dedicated to the finances, and there we will talk about the management, budget, finances. And on Thursday, it's the day dedicated to communication. All those four webinars belong to the webinar series. And indeed, the advantage to join each of these webinars is to get an information already. There is a basic information about each of the topics that can be very useful when you are preparing your project application. And as well, on all those days, we have colleagues in the studio that will be answering questions live. Today is the day dedicated to partnership. And you know that Interreg Europe program is an interregional cooperation project, so any project can't happen without having right partners on board. And this is the subject we are talking today. Today, on the agenda, we will be watching some videos that are already pre-recorded. We recorded them some years ago, so there will be two videos we will be watching. We will be also taking questions and answers after each of the videos to answer your questions. And today, together with me in the studio, I have my dear colleague, Laurenzio. Laurenzio, hello. Laurenzio is the policy officer, and he will be together with me in the studio to answer the questions and also to clarify some of the videos, because you know that the program had some important developments during this year. We welcomed 7 new countries on board. So there are some specific things that changed, and Laurenzio indeed will give you an insight about those points. Then, in the studio, we also have other colleagues. Ilaria from the policy and project unit, policy officer. She's here to answer your questions on the Slido, on the chat. We also have communication team, Julie, Petra, and Hannah, who are managing the back scenes of this webinar. To ask the questions who are using the Slido, so you can head to slido.com, put a hashtag project development and post all your questions. Here also on the Zoom, we have a chat, and you are welcome to post your messages. You are welcome to tell me now from where you are joining and what your project idea is about. But to the questions related to the webinar, we would like to ask you to post on Slido, because it's easier for us to manage, and then it will be easier to display all those questions on the screen. I can already see that Heidi is saying good morning from Belgium. Good morning from all other countries. We can also see someone joining us from Nepal. Nepal is not really in the program territory. We have from Zagreb, from Valencia, from Cagliari, from Portugal, from Ukraine. It's really nice to see also our new countries on board. Welcome to all of you. And I'm really glad to see that so many people are starting to work on the project applications and are planning to apply within the third call of proposals. Great. I think with this practical information, we are ready to start. Before going and watching the first video, I think it's good to tell you that all what you will see during this webinar, the presentations and also the videos, they are published on our website, and we'll be sharing the links with you. So do not worry if there is something you did not manage to pick up during this today. You can always rewatch the recording and go back to the questions we were answering today, or to the videos we will be watching today. Great. I think now with this information, we are ready to watch our first video related to the project partnership, and it answers basically two questions: what and how to involve in building a relevant partnership within your interregional cooperation project. So let's watch now the first video.
Hello, my name is Eilish. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to build a relevant partnership for an Interreg Europe project. I'm going to cover two topics. The first, how to identify the common challenge that will be addressed through your project. And the second is how to identify the policy instruments and the improvements that will be made to those instruments thanks to your project. So looking first at the common challenge addressed by your project, you need to identify the overall regional development issue which will be examined by all of the partners. For instance, this might be supporting innovation delivery policies in the Industry 4.0. Maybe you want to look at supporting small and medium enterprises in the tourist sector. Perhaps the common challenge will be developing soft mobility in your region. Or maybe selective waste management is the topic that will be addressed by your project. Whatever it may be, it is important that this issue can be described in each of the regions involved in the partnership. And this is called the territorial context. It is important to be as specific and focused as possible when developing your application form. And this is very true for the issue addressed. If you provide a description that is too vague, it is difficult for us to see how the partners can learn from each other. For instance, imagine that the objective of your project is to improve natural and cultural heritage management. It's not so clear for us what kind of heritage is in question, and we have no understanding of the environment that is affected. However, if we take another example, which is looking at the preservation of military or medieval heritage in mountainous regions, it is very clear for us what kind of heritage is concerned, and we can imagine very well the mountain regions where this challenge is based. So be specific when identifying your common challenge. Looking into the application form, in section C, you will need to describe this common challenge in the field Issue Addressed. Make sure that the information you provide is coherent with the specific objective that you will select in section A. It's also important that it matches the policy instruments in section D. So we will be looking for coherence between all of these sections. You will have to explain why this issue is important for European regions in another field. Please provide data and statistics to support your description. Finally, you will need to describe how this project contributes to the cohesion policy or other European strategies or plans. So all of these fields will allow us to have a clear picture of the issue addressed. Next, if we move to section D in the application form, you will have to describe how this issue is reflected in each of the partner regions. This is the territorial context. So you will have to describe what is the state of play of this issue in the territory covered by this policy instrument. What is the challenge that needs to be overcome? This is an important section as it allows us to understand the motivation of the partner in joining this Interreg Europe project. So again, please be specific, concrete, and provide facts and figures to justify your description. Next, let's look at how to solve the common challenge that you've identified in an Interreg Europe project. For this, we will have to talk about policy instruments. So what is a policy instrument, you might ask? If you look into the program manual, you will see the definition. In short, a policy instrument is a means of public intervention. It refers to any strategy, program, or law developed by the public authorities and implemented in the region to tackle a specific issue. In many cases, there are financial resources allocated to the policy instrument, but this is not always the case. So you will need to identify the policy instrument that will be addressed by each of the partners. A policy instrument may be an investment for jobs and growth programme. By this we mean the European Regional Development Fund or the European Social Fund programmes, or it may also be any other local, regional or national strategy that deals with this issue in the region. It's important to note that every project must have at least one investment for jobs and growth programme selected. This is indeed an eligibility criterion. And what is unique about Interreg Europe projects is that every project focuses on improving the policy instruments of the participating regions through exchange of experience. So these policy instruments are really at the heart of your project and the application form. Looking into section D, you will have to describe each of the policy instruments addressed. There is a field dedicated to the name of the policy instrument where you can mention, for instance, the title of the operational programme if that's the policy instrument you will address. You will also have a drop-down field where you need to select yes or no if your policy instrument is investment for jobs and growth. You will also need to identify the geographical scope of the policy instrument, whether it applies over a local, regional or national territory. And importantly, you will have to select how the authority responsible for this policy instrument is involved in the project. That might be directly involved as a partner or perhaps also involved as an associated policy authority. You will hear more about this in the second part of the video from my colleague. You will also have to describe the main features of the policy instrument. By this we mean the objectives, the characteristics or the measures addressed by your project. Again, be specific here so that we have a clear understanding of why this policy instrument is the right one to address. So once you have described the policy instrument that you will address, we need to understand how this policy instrument will be improved thanks to the project activities. So let's talk about the type of results that can be achieved. There are three types of results possible when improving policy instruments. The first is new projects. The policy responsible authority may decide to launch a new call for proposals or to approve a new project that wasn't financed before under this policy instrument. The second type
Yes, we see the comments that there is no sound. Indeed, we are facing a few technical problems, and my colleague is trying to relaunch the video, but I think it was clear from what our colleague, former colleague Eilish, was talking about the common challenges, territorial context, that so far you could already see how the project application looks like and what really to write and how to fill in the specific sections. I propose that we try to check if we can continue with the video, and then we will head to the
you will also have a drop-down field where you need to
Q&A.
select yes or no if your policy instrument is investment for jobs and growth. You will also need to identify the geographical scope of the policy instrument, whether it applies over a local, regional or national territory. And importantly, you will have to select how the authority responsible for this policy instrument is involved in the project. That might be directly involved as a partner or perhaps also involved as an associated policy authority. You will hear more about this in the second part of the video from my colleague. You will also have to describe the main features of the policy instrument. By this we mean the objectives, the characteristics or the measures addressed by your project. Again, be specific here so that we have a clear understanding of why this policy instrument is the right one to address. So once you have described the policy instrument that you will address, we need to understand how this policy instrument will be improved thanks to the project activities. So let's talk about the type of results that can be achieved. There are three types of results possible when improving policy instruments. The first is new projects. The policy responsible authority may decide to launch a new call for proposals or to approve a new project that wasn't financed before under this policy instrument. The second type is changing the governance of the policy instrument. The authority may decide, for instance, to introduce new indicators in the monitoring system or to change some of the selection criteria for funding new projects. The third type of improvement is changing the instrument itself. By this we mean changing the content of the policy instrument, the specific thematic issues that are covered. So these are the three types of improvement that we would expect to see coming from your Interreg Europe project. Looking into section D of the application form, you will need to describe what kind of policy improvement is envisaged for each policy instrument addressed. There is a drop-down menu for each of those three types, and the partner will need to select yes or no if this type of improvement applies. There is also a free text field where this improvement needs to be described in more detail. We've come to the end of this first video about building a relevant partnership. We looked at how to identify the common issue tackled by your project, how this is really core to building your partnership and selecting the right authorities. And we also looked at how to identify the right policy instruments and what kind of improvements should be aimed at. In the next part of the video, my colleague will talk about who should be involved in Interreg Europe projects, the policy responsible authorities, and who else can support the activities, the stakeholders. I invite you to watch this video and to learn more about building a relevant partnership. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our former colleague Eilish O'Loughlin, who explained us indeed the context. I think after her video, it's clear that Interreg Europe is the program that aims to improve the policy instruments, and the main core activities, it's how we do it, is via exchange of experience. We will definitely take an advice of Eilish and we'll watch also a second video very soon before we take questions live with Laurencio to watch the second video about indeed who needs to be involved in the project. Laurencio, we do not have many questions yet. Okay, we can see they are coming. Indeed, it's great to see more and more questions coming to our chat. If you have questions, do not hesitate to submit them via the Slido. It's really your chance because Laurencio is here live in the studio and will be answering your questions. Hello, Laurencio.
Good morning to everyone. Happy to answer your questions.
Yeah. How are you today?
Fine, I feel ready. Let's go.
Great. You are ready to answer the questions, so we can go. The first question, Laurencio, I see it's someone from Ukraine city who wants to join an ongoing project on energy and waste as discovery partner. Indeed, I can see that at the beginning, we already explained that this webinar is for the lead applicants, for the ones who are preparing the new projects in our program. So for the ones who are wanting to join ongoing project, it's not the right webinar for you. But good news is that last week we were running a specific dedicated online event where our approved projects were sharing some ideas, and there is a dedicated space where you can check information how to join an ongoing project. So my colleague will share a link in the chat, and you should head indeed to this section if it's really about an ongoing project. But if it would relate someone from Ukraine wished to join a new project, this is the right place to be, right, Laurencio?
Absolutely. Why only join an existing project when you can start a new one with a fresh new partnership? Really start from zero, from equal standing, equal opportunities, equal type of involvement, and you will be with this project for 4 years. So we encourage you to explore also the possibility to join an existing consortium in the frame of the restricted call, but also join a third call project together with a fresh new consortium.
Yes, and idea maybe just to see where and what ideas are being generated by organizations that are planning to have new projects. We have on our website the section of project ideas, so you can check if there is a project on green energy waste management. Also, last month in March, we organized a big networking event, Europe Let's Cooperate, that happened in Antwerp. And there were many discussions ongoing on the new projects in our networking area. Those records are saved on our event conclusions page, so you can also head there and check who had discussions on the project linked to the topic that interests you. And there it's also possible to find the contacts of people so that you can contact indeed them and propose your candidature to join the project. Now, we head to the other questions. Yes, a very good question. A very good question indeed. It's a question to test how we were listening to the video. So Laurenzio, could you repeat once more the 3 types of improvements or types of the results that were presented in the video? Indeed, what the program expects to have as the results of the interregional cooperation project.
Yes, the colleagues from the audience are making my job very easy by just asking me to repeat the types of improvements. We can also discuss more if there is interest on the real content, what is really striking for each of them. But the 3 types of improvements are from new projects. So let's imagine you have a project that was inspired by the cooperation, and then the region in charge of the policy instruments decides to support this new project in the frame of the policy instrument. So this would be a change type 1. Then you have the change in the management, in the governance of the policy instruments. This is the way you implement a specific policy instrument. Let's imagine you have a program that has a call for proposals, and based on the inspiration gained from from other regions, from your colleagues in the project, you decide to add additional activities in the list of eligible activities, or to open the call to new types of partners. You may also decide to monitor differently the project. So these are changes in the way you implement your policy instrument. And then, of course, there is the structural change, the change of the policy instrument itself. For instance, let's imagine if you have smart specialization strategy as a policy instrument, which had 4 smart specialization area, and based on the ideas coming from other project partners and discussing it also with your regional stakeholders, you decide to add a 5th pillar to the 4 that were already existing. So this is a structural change to the policy instrument itself. So these are the 4 types, the 3 types of policy improvements that we expect to see in your region, and we want them to be described in the application form as your expectations of results by participating in the project.
Thank you, Laurenzio, very much for explaining this. I think now it's clear that everyone is ready to explain well in the application form what results would be after the project is implemented. We have more questions related to the policy instruments, and one of them sounds like this. Regarding the self-assessment, if our policy instrument is an investment for jobs and growth goal program, how shall we identify it as such? And shall we give figures of jobs to be created or expected jobs created? Like how to go around that?
Thank you. Before answering, it would be nice if the person addressing the question will also name themselves so that we know who we are talking to. So we can also have the opportunity to thank you for such an amazing questions. So to answer it, there are many elements to this question. First of all, what is an investment for jobs and growth goal program? Because you are asking how shall we identify it as such. It is very simple. The investment for jobs and growth goal program. So this is a policy instrument, the one policy instrument that is mandatory to have in your project. So all projects start from addressing policy instrument. It can be 5 instruments, it can be 8 instruments. This is our recommendation. At least one of them must be this type of investment for jobs and growth goal program. These are the classical regional programs that are financed by the European Union through the ERDF fund and ESF funds. So you already know that you need to have one such policy instrument. If to make it even more easier for you, if you are still not sure what we mean by this, please go on the Interreg Europe website. You will see the section in my country. There you will have an Excel sheet with all the investment for jobs and growth goal program that are available in each region. And these data are collected in connection with our colleagues from the member states and the European Commission. So very solid information there. Now, regarding the last part of your question, I can only imagine that you are referring to the indicators that you would need to monitor in case there is a policy change. The good news is that we are not asking for such indicators. We are asking you in the application form to name the policy instrument, to describe the policy instrument, to explain to us a bit the territorial context. Why is this problem important in your region? And at the end, we want to see where do you want to go with this policy instrument? How do you want to improve it? But this does not imply a list of indicators, just a descriptive text in which you will explain to us what you will expect to achieve by participating in the project. Is it that you want to finance new project? Is it that you want to change the way you implement your project governance, or you want to really restructure your policy instrument? So I think this should cover all the facets of this question, but feel free to get back to us if there were some elements that you still want to find out about.
Indeed, Laurencio, if there are any specific questions related to your project, you should never hesitate to contact us directly. We have also on our website a specific form where you can submit your questions and then you get to them answered, but you also can always give us a call. Now, let's have a look to the other questions we have on the Slido. We will be taking few more related to the first video because I can see there are also some questions related to the topic of the second video. So those questions we will be answering after we watch the second video. And I'm really glad that we have over 190 participants with us today, and they heard very well well your invitation, Laurencio, to write their names so that we can also see to whom we are answering, who is sending the questions, and with whom we are talking when answering. So Catherine is asking a question: who checks the eligibility of the policy instrument and its authority? Is it the national point of contact or the secretariat? In the program, for the ones who don't know the abbreviation NCP, it's a national point of contact. In Interreg Europe program, we have a person in charge of the program, or who provides a reference person in each of the countries that are participating in our program. So who checks the eligibility of the policy instrument and its authority?
Once again, a very complex question since it's touching several elements. I will try to answer and not get too much lost. We are indeed checking the eligibility. So in the eligibility assessment, we are having a first look at the policy instrument. We are checking if if at least one policy instrument is investment for jobs and growth, and we are checking also at the eligibility stage if for at least 50% of the policy instrument address, we have the responsible policy authority directly involved. This is what we check in terms of eligibility. Then let's imagine the project passed the eligibility assessment. It will go through qualitative assessment. This is the moment, and especially in the first criterion, in the relevance of the proposal, we are reading one by one all the policy instruments, and this is also the moment where we try to see if the responsible authority is indeed the one that is responsible for the policy instrument. We are checking also if the what is mentioned there is indeed a policy instrument. So we are doing these checks. In most of the cases, all the information is very straightforward. But also us at the Secretariat, if we are in doubt, if one of the elements that you put there, if indeed is a policy instrument or is not a policy instrument, because in some cases we see, I remember in one project it was like more like an internal guidelines of a specific institution, which normally are not considered policy instruments. But also in this case, we checked with the national contact point, because at the Secretariat, we can only rely on the national contact points for such country-specific information. The same happens if we have a doubt regarding the policy responsible authority. Let's imagine that a very straightforward case. You have a city economic development strategy, and you have the municipality that is the policy responsible authority. This is rather straightforward. We would not ask the national contact point. But let's imagine that we have a mobility plan of a city or of a metropolitan area, and there is one specific organization appointed to draft it and implement it. In such a case where it's more complex and where we are not sure that this organization that is set up by the metropolitan area can be indeed considered the policy responsible authority for the policy instrument, once again, the national contact point will contact the JS will contact the national contact point for clarifications. I think it answers the...
Yes, I think, Lorenzo, it's answered. Indeed, I think the objective for the lead applicant would be to well identify the policy instruments and to well describe, so that it would be indeed clear for the ones who are doing an assessment of the project to understand it, and there would be as little as possible like clarifications needed. But this is why we're having this webinar, for you to explain indeed what information to fill in your application form. Now, another question about the policy instrument. Is it possible to address more than one policy instrument in each involved region? Can you answer yes or no, Laurencio, to this question?
I cannot answer yes or no. Because the situation is once again more complex than this. Our recommendation is that you address one policy instrument per region. This is our recommendation. We find very, very exceptional cases in which two policy instruments can be addressed in the same region. But this derives from the way we define region in our program. Because, for instance, if you are addressing a national level policy instrument, then the entire country becomes the region. If you are targeting a local policy, then only the area covered by the specific policy instrument becomes the region. So it is much more complex than this. Our recommendation is still one policy instrument per region.
Yes. And the last question we are taking, I see the discussions and questions about the overview of the policy instrument per country list. Lorenzo, you already explained that this information in general about the policy instruments per country are available on our website. There is a section in My Country, which is under Discover the Program menu. So if you head there, you choose the specific country, you will get the list of the policy instruments per country. However, this question indeed it's a bit more complex because it asks about is there an overview of approved projects? Such list exists, or is it even worth to check that? Catherine is asking us.
I'm not sure we have a centralized one document that is available to the project partners, and I would not see the utility as such. Maybe one national contact point can ask us, for instance, what are all the policy instruments that are addressed, for instance, in Netherlands, in the existing project, and we would provide such such a list. What is important for you as applicants is to know that what is the definition of the policy instrument, and that we apply a very broad definition to this concept so that you can accommodate in this definition most of the public interventions that are available in your region. They can be programs, they can be plans, they can be master plans, they can be strategies, they can be laws and or other administrative acts. Any of them, regardless if it's at national level, at regional level, or at local level, they can be addressed.
Yes. So Lorenzo, following your answer, I also posted a link in the general chat to My Country page where everyone can consult the information related to the policy indeed instruments. Now, I think it's time to watch the second video because there are the questions about how to search the partners from other countries, about the percentage, what countries need to be involved. So we will watch now a second video indeed about building the relevant partnership, and who will answer to the question who. And it's our colleague Hassan Martinez, coordinator of the project team, will explain how to involve in your project, whom to involve in your project or partnership. And after this video, we'll be back again with Lorenzo in the studio to continue to answer your questions live. So let's watch the video.
Hello, my name is Hassan, and in this second video, I will cover two topics: who to involve in your project partnership, the policy responsible authorities, and who else, the stakeholder groups. So let's start with who should be involved in our project. So Interreg Europe is about policy learning. The main objective of a project is to improve the policy instruments of the participating regions, the policy responsible authorities. These are the organizations in charge of the elaboration and delivery of a specific policy. This is the core target group in Interreg Europe, and they have to be involved as partners for at least 50% of the policy instruments addressed. The partners have to be the policy responsible authorities. This is very important for you to keep in mind because it's an eligibility criteria. If the policy responsible organization cannot be involved as a partner, then they must participate in the project as an associated policy authority. They will be officially included in the application, in the partnership section. They don't have budget. It will be the partner financing their travel and accommodation costs to be involved in the project activities. They will have to sign a declaration during the application stage, and their involvement will be regularly monitored during the project implementation. Another policy-relevant organization from the region must be involved as a partner. This is very important. Here in the screen you can see the template of the declaration. This is what the associated policy authority will have to sign, where they will confirm that they are responsible for the policy instrument address, that the topic tackled by the project is in line with the scope of the policy instrument, that they will engage in the stakeholder group and participate in the project activities when possible, and finally that they will consider the possibilities for implementing the lessons learned from the project through their policy instrument. What are other criteria that you need to keep in mind when selecting partners? We think that it's important to select partners based on their competence and experience. You need to keep in mind that Interreg Europe is about learning. It's about learning from each other, exchanging experience. So you need to select your partners taking this into consideration. It's also important to involve regions with different levels of development and from different geographical areas. And this is also an eligibility criterion. You need to involve partners from the 4 areas that you see in the screen, from the north, from the south, from the east, and from the west. So where do we see this in the portal when you are writing and filling in your application form? You see in the screen that section D.1.2, addressing partners, there you would need to assign to each policy instrument the partners that are linked to it. This is the case for every partner, except for the advisory partners, which do not address any policy instruments. They are there to support the whole partnership through a specific competence or knowledge. Also in section D.1.2, you will need to explain for every partner what is their involvement in the policy learning process, paying particular attention to the specific issue addressed by the project, and also describe what is the partner contribution to the project, what they will bring to the cooperation and what they will benefit from. And this you will have to do for every partner. It's a little bit different for the advisory partner because they are not addressing any policy instrument. Finally, who else should be involved in our project? And here we talk about the stakeholder group. This is a group which includes organizations that are relevant for the issue address, that are important in the policy-making process, and we should create one group of stakeholders per policy instruments. They are involved in the exchange of experience process, they participate in the project activities, they don't have budget, their budget is covered like with the associated policy authority by the partner, and their composition of this stakeholder group will vary according to the issue address. But usually this is the main type of stakeholders that you will have in the group, the type of organizations that will participate in the project. Of course, the first is the associated policy authority, but then you can have development agencies, SMEs, NGOs, networks, clusters, and also research and technology centers. This is reflected in the portal, in the application form, in section D.1.3, stakeholders, where you will add one by one all the organizations that will be part of each stakeholder group created per policy instrument. And finally, here we would want to show you an example of a possible partnership with the policy instruments, a stakeholder group, the policy relevant authorities, the associated policy authorities. So in the example, you see that we have a partnership with a project, an application that will work on policy objective 1, a smarter Europe, a specific objective 3, sustainable growth and competitiveness of SMEs. And here we have partners from 4 different countries. So as you can see, it matches the eligibility criteria that we have to have partners involved from the 4 geographical areas. We have Italy from the south, Sweden from the north, Poland from the east, and France from the west. So the 4 areas are included in the partnership. You can see also the policy instruments address, the Regional Operational Program ERDF for the Italian partners, the National Program on Business Creation for the Swedish partners, also the Municipal Support Program of Business Startup in Poland, and finally for France, again the Regional OP. So they are addressing 4 policy instruments. 2 of them are investment for jobs and growth programs. So this complies with the eligibility criterion that at least one of the policy instruments addressed has to be an investment for jobs and growth program. What do we have as partners? So in the case of Italy, we have 2 partners addressing the same policy instrument. We have the Puglia region as lead partner, together with the Regional Development Agency. For Sweden, we have the Ministry of Economy. For Poland, we have the Poznan City Council. And for France, we have the Regional Association of Incubators. You can see in the image that for 4 of the policy instruments addressed, the policy responsible authorities are involved. This is the case of Italy, Sweden, and Poland. And for France, the Regional Association is not the policy responsible authority, so they have to bring the associated policy authority, which is the Normandy Regional Council, who are responsible for the regional operational program. And finally, as you can see, so we meet in this case the 50% of policy responsible authorities involved in the project. We even go a little bit beyond that. And finally, for each policy instrument address, you can see the stakeholder group with different organizations from the participating regions. So now you know how to build a successful partnership, who to involve and who else to involve in your application. We hope that this was useful for you. Do not hesitate to contact us if you have any question. We are there to help you in preparing a successful application. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to the studio. So we watched together the video, the second video about the partnership, and we talked about the policy responsible organizations, the stakeholder groups. You also saw how the partnership, we also talked about the geographical areas. Laurencio, at the beginning, we already discussed that in this program, this year program had a very important development in terms of the territory. We have 7 new countries on board now, EU candidate countries: Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Moldova, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Serbia, Ukraine. So I think it's very important that you clarify indeed what changes were done in the program in terms of geographical coverage and how now it changed in terms of the zones, and also to ease the participation of those new countries, a new way, a new status of the partner was introduced, a discovery partner. So maybe you could tell us a little bit more and explain indeed this opportunity that the program offers to cooperate and involve the EU candidate countries.
Yes, with pleasure. You remember very well from the video that we just saw, in which Hassan, our colleague, was mentioning that in a project you need to cover 4 out of the 4 program area with partners. This was in the past, and of course this was very relevant for the first and the second call. For the third call, since we have created a 5th area, the requirement is to cover 4 out of the 5 geographical areas from the project. So let's imagine, because in the past there were we were signaled that there were some projects involving partners from a specific region. Now you can take partners from the EU candidate areas to compensate for this lack of possibility to involve partners from another specific area. So keep in mind 4 out of 5 regions must geographical areas must be covered for the third call. Also, to make it easier for the partners from Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Moldova, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Serbia, and Ukraine to get involved in the project, considering that the program is very new for them, and the policy influencing process is something that it's a bit more complex, requires ways of working that are that need to be well established in the region. We thought of having a lighter form of involvement for these organizations that are newcomers to our program. So we designed the role of discovery partner. As the name implies, these partners are there these organizations are there to discover the program. They will not address the policy instrument, and we recommend that we keep it maximum of two discovery partners per project. And I need to emphasize the possibility to join a project as a discovery partners is only reserved to the 7 new countries that joined the program. So these are the main differences compared to the first and the second call. And now let's see the questions.
Thank you very thank you very much, Laurencio, very much for explaining us indeed how now the program works with the five zones, and also introducing the discovery partner concept. I think it's great news for those new countries that are willing to participate in our projects, and also for the old countries that are willing to involve the new countries in their projects as well. Let's have a look now to the questions we have on Slido. We have a question asking us if university can be a lead partner of Interreg Europe project.
Very simple, yes, they can.
The next question, how can we search for partners from other countries to meet our project idea? Like how?
Once again, our colleagues in the past events designed some videos for how you can search for partners. What I want to highlight, the first element that you need the key to the door of the Interreg Europe world is to create an account in our community. As soon as you created an account to our community, you'll have access to a wide community of practitioners that want the same as you to cooperate on project. You'll have access to project ideas. You will have the possibility to publish your own project idea, and from there you can start developing a project with partners.
Yeah. And indeed, Lorenza, maybe it's something also to add on this. For sure, we have a partner search tool, but when we talk with the ones who successfully indeed prepare the project applications and also have the projects running, they also emphasize that it's very useful because if you work in a specific topic, probably you attend some specific events, have your own network, so you also check indeed the contacts you have or you already identified, because it's very important to select the good partners that you will be working in the project for the upcoming years. And those are the tips that our approved project partners are giving indeed to the newcomers. Then we have a question about about the percentage of the partners. Among the partners, what percentage of partners must have a policy instrument of the growth and investment for investment and growth of project in the project? Is it 50, 60%? Maybe you can comment on that.
Yes, I think we are mixing in this question two concepts. So, among all the policy instruments that you address in one project, let's imagine there are 6 policy instruments that are addressed in a specific project. Only one needs to be an investment for jobs and growth goal program. So only one out of the 6. If we are talking about the 50% rule, we are stepping in another territory, and this refers to having as project partner the policy responsible authority. So you'll need to have in a project as project partner the policy responsible authority for at least half of the policy instruments addressed.
Is it possible to include 2 regions from the same country? And if so, how to list the policy instruments addressed and how to organize the partnership?
Very important question, and one that is sort of related to the question that I answered previously. And I prefer to answer it in a different way so that it stays better in your mind. If you go on a program manual, and also as the officer, always have one near us, okay? So even now, if you go in the program manual, page 26, 27, you'll have here the black pages. These are the program recommendations that need to be followed if you want to have an application that is scored well. And one of the recommendation is to come with only one region per country. So try to stick to this recommendation, because this is the way you will get a higher score on your application and higher chances of being financed. However, if you want to go against the program recommendation, you'll need to justify why is it so important that your country can participate with 2 regions in a interregional cooperation project. And keep in mind that the entire spirit of our program that is open to 36 countries is to work together with partners that are outside of your comfort zone, outside of the way you usually do things, and to learn from each other.
Laurencio, we have a similar question, but a little bit different. It's about the partnership from the same country. Is it a problem that the partnership where 2 partners from the same country focus on one policy instrument in case a regional development agency and university working on the same policy instrument? Indeed, we already saw an example like this in the video we were just watching, but I let you to comment and to answer to this question.
We often see this configuration, but linking it to the previous question, in this case, we see that there is only one region from the specific country that is joining the project, but with 2 partners. So we can have this configuration, and sometimes we consider it even ideal. Let's imagine that the regional development agency is the policy responsible authority for a regional program, or is the policy responsible authority for a smart specialization strategy. And for getting involved in the project, they are also joined by a university as a technical partner that will help them address and improve the same policy instrument. So this is possible, and this is welcome.
Lorenzo, does the program has any recommendations or to say, can you say what is the best combination of type of partners for Interreg kind of project? Should there be public authorities, universities, CSOs? Is there any recommendations on that, or best combination? Do you have an answer to this?
Yes, I would not say that is a recommendation of ideal combination, but what you need to keep in mind that our program, Interreg Europe, is a program about changing policies. And ideally, you'll need to have at the table those organizations that actually can change the policy instruments. And this is a program mainly designed for public authorities. So let's imagine the ideal perfect case in which you will have 6 policy instruments. For all these 6 policy instruments, you will have policy responsible authority, meaning public authorities that are in charge of those specific policy instruments. This will be the ideal. However, we see that in realities, we have university that can join as technical partners, helping a specific policy responsible authority to improve the policy instrument, or we have some organization that join as advisory partners, and these are eligible and they are welcome as well in our project. But let's say the maximum scoring you will get when you'll have all policy responsible authorities at the table.
Now, Laurencio, next 2 questions we will take, those will be related to the new countries, and then I will challenge you with some mathematical questions. So we'll start from the easiest one. Can the discovery partner receive funding? So if a discovery partner, is there a budget related to that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So just to answer in a bit more wider way, we envisage this status as discovery partner, this way of being involved in a project specifically for the 7 new candidate countries to make it easy for this organization if they are really at the beginning of the road. However, if you are an organization from these 7 new countries that already have some experience in project, we encourage you to take the full role of project partner. And this brings me back to the type of involvement in the project. So there are only 3 types of direct involvement in the project. One is as project partner, the organization that addressing a policy instrument, advisory partner, the one that is normally a university, a technical partner, a network that brings specific competencies to the entire partnership. And there is the discovery partner. So these are the 3 types of involvement. You can join any of these 3 type of involvement comes with an associated budget for implementing the activities. The only organization that will not receive funds directly will be the stakeholder and the associated policy authority, which is also considered sort of like a lead stakeholder of the stakeholder group. So project partner, discovery partner, advisory partner, you will have a budget for participating directly in the project.
Then Okay, so then we can head to the next question, which is from Mario. Mario, first of all, we are very glad to read that your organization is very eager to be involved in the Interreg Europe project. As you write, as a candidate country institution, we are very eager to learn from successful and innovative EU experiences in various fields of interest. Therefore, would it be reasonable for us to participate in between 3-5 proposals? It means of the third call and restricted call as a discovery partner without undetermining the approvals. Do you have any comments on this?
Yes, we are
Laurencio?
going back to the same page, to the same black page with the recommendation of the program, and one refers to also to the multiple involvement. In principle, what we want is to see new organization cooperating with new organizations all the time. So whenever you decide to get involved in several applications, you sort of deprive other organization from the possibility to participate, to get access to knowledge. We always encourage newcomers to our program. So another aspect of the question is, are you the policy responsible authority? Because in the case of policy responsible authority, let's imagine you are a national ministry and in charge of a wide spectrum of policy. It is normal that such an organization goes into several applications to get information from multiple angles, from multiple projects that will help improve their policy instrument, and such an institution will also have the capacity, the people, and also the funding, the cash flow finally to be involved in more application. While in the case of smaller application, even the people that are experienced enough to go on project, the number of these people may be limited. So also your involvement should be adjusted. So to answer your question, our program has a recommendation on multiple involvement to be as limited as possible. However, this is a program recommendation. We do not have an exact number, either 3 or 5 or 11 regarding it. And also another element is if you will get all the projects approved, you can participate in 3 or 5 proposals and get only one at the end of the day of the projects approved. So for the beginning, you can potentially try to get involved, let's say, in 3 application as discovery partner.
Laurencio, after listening to you, I again remember our talks with successfully approved project partners that they were saying you need to be selected and focused. So it's indeed better to be focused, to probably work on the prepare well your candidature to see, okay, what topic is really your priority topic, rather than to go in all directions. This is at least what our approved projects were advising or telling to us what was, let's say, the key tip they also want to give to the others. Now, mathematical questions to you, I promised. And again, the same strategy I opt for at first, from the easier question I will start. And this question is from Luigi. He is asking, what is the maximum number of partners recommended?
Yes, thank you, Luigi, for the question. Once again, we are coming back to page 27 of our program manual. The program recommends that a project involves between 5 and 8 regions. This means between 5 and 8 policy instruments. These policy instruments can be addressed, as you saw from the previous answer, by 1 or 2 partners in some cases, and also you can add to your partner, to your consortium, discovery partners, or and a maximum 2 discovery partner and maximum 1 advisory partner. So these are the program recommendations. So all in all, it can range between 5 and 16 project partners addressing 5 to 8 policy instruments. This is the program recommendation. However, we saw application coming with 4 policy instruments, for instance, or with more than 8 policy instruments, for instance. And in such cases, when a program recommendation is not followed, you will need to justify why this configuration was necessary.
Thank you, Laurencio, for explaining that. Before we head to the next question, I see that only 2 questions are left for us in total to answer. We still have a little bit of time. So if our webinar participants have questions, it's really your last chance to submit them so that we can answer them live during this webinar. And I can see Starka already took my invitation and heard the message, and I also would like to invite others to follow her. Now, the second question related to the numbers. 50% of authorities, meaning if I have 8 partners, I need at least 4 to be policy authorities, not just associated policy authorities. Is this correct?
Well, let me let me try to see if I understand this correctly. So let's dissociate a bit and make clarify the distinction between the concept of policy responsible authority and associated policy authority. So the policy responsible authority, regardless of the project, the policy responsible authority is the organization that is in charge of designing, implementing a specific policy instrument. Let's imagine for the city economic development strategy is the municipality. So this municipality is the policy responsible authority. Now, this policy responsible authority in the project can be a partner, so the one coming with the budget, or in the case they don't want to be involved in the project as a partner, they will need to be involved as associated policy authority. Associated policy authority is a role in the project and is a stakeholder role. So it's not a direct involvement. So to come back, for half of your policy instruments, so for at least 4 out of 8 policy instruments, you will need to have this sort of organization that are policy responsible authorities involved directly as partners. Only for the other ones, you can involve them as associated policy authority, but ideally you should come with 8 out of 8 policy responsible authorities in the project. This will be really ideal.
Okay, talking about the policy responsible authorities, what documents are needed to prove that the partner is the responsible authority?
To us, none. We are not checking, and you are not obliged to attach any documents to prove that you are a policy responsible authority. Coming again back to the previous example, a municipality does not need to prove to us that they are in charge of the city development strategy. It is obvious and it is regulated through documents that are available at local level. In case we at the Joint Secretariat will not be sure if a specific organization is really the policy responsible authority for a specific policy instrument, we will just ask for a simple confirmation from the national contact point. And in case you have doubts that you are or not the policy responsible authority for a specific policy instrument, we invite you to do the same, to contact your national contact point and to establish with them if you can indeed apply in a project as being considered policy responsible authority.
Laurencio, Josephine from the city of Magdeburg, she's asking us, when revising a second call project proposal for the third call, redefining partnership and part of application contents, can we still get feedback from the Joint Secretariat on our new proposal before we hand it in? Thank you.
Thank you a lot, Josephine. Simple yes answer is yes, absolutely. You are most welcome. As soon as the project idea is mature and you are sure nothing will change, ask for a consultation with the Secretariat. And this is the advice that we are giving to all consortium that are starting now to develop their project, to select the policy instrument, to do the partnership, to draw more or less the work plan. As soon as you have a mature idea, form partnership, do not hesitate to ask the officer at the Secretariat for a consultation on your project idea. We can answer it in writing. We can schedule a meeting with you. What you need to keep in mind is that the project idea needs to be mature, because we will only allow, due to our limited number of officers, finally, one consultation per project. So as soon as you are ready, let's discuss the idea before submitting, because maybe something on the geographical coverage you missed, some policy instrument, maybe we are not sure if it's a policy instrument, and we can discuss a bit, and then you will see if you can go forward with this configuration.
Indeed, Laurencio, we tackle several very important points about the support Secretariat is providing, and this tool where our colleagues, you indeed, are giving a concrete feedback on the project idea is called Ask for Feedback. And online, there is a specific section on our website where you fill in the form, you submit the form, and as Laurencio explained, you choose in which way you want to get a feedback. And it's still possible to do it now in April. There is still some weeks in May to do it, because we, in order to meet indeed the deadlines, we close it just a few weeks before the deadline of the call. But in the meantime, when the call is open, it's always possible to ask for feedback on your project idea. Then we can head to the other questions we have, and Sarka is asking us, I would like to ask if it's better to have 3 partners with very well-designed cooperation and similar needs, or to look for more partners. And I'm almost sure, Lorenzo, you will lift the program manual to say that the answer is there.
Let's do it in a different way this time. The answer is in the previous slide that I was showing to you. If you'll only have 3 partners, you will not be able to cover 4 out of the 5 program areas. So you will not even pass the assessment, unfortunately. You'll need to have at least 1 partner from 4 out of the 4 geographical areas. So this is the first element. Then you need to keep in mind that the program recommendation is to have between 5 and 8 policy instruments addressed. So a minimum of 5 partners in the project. So I would really advise you, Sarka, to start building a stronger partnership. And yeah, we wait for you at consultation as soon as the project idea is very mature.
Another question related to the advisory partner status, which we introduced and talked about, that it's specifically designed for the EU candidate countries coming from the 7 new countries. So I think it will be easy for you to answer to this, because the question asks if advisory partner can come from the West region, a group, indeed, zone we have in this categorization.
Yes, I think this is a person that is already quite familiar with our program, and maybe in some cases gave a bit more thought to the geographical coverage of the partnership. So, as I told you, 4 out of the 5 areas need to be covered. And ideally, we would welcome policy instruments from all these 4 out of 5 areas. However, we know that in some cases it's difficult to get policy responsible authorities to be involved from specific geographical areas, and this can be compensated by an advisory partner or a discovery partner coming from an area that you were not able to involve with a policy instrument. So to answer simply, yes, it counts. And also for the discovery partner, it counts.
Yes, and I am sorry, indeed, it was my mistake because I missed advisory partner with discovery partner. But thank you, Laurencio, for explaining and putting back the question on the right track. Okay, the last question we have is from the Solen, and we are asked how to identify the level of development of the different regions involved and how to present in the application.
Perfect question, amazing question. I got so prepared for this question, and I was wondering it will never come. So indeed, an ideal project application should involve a mix between less and more developed regions. So in the application, you need to have regions that are less developed, regions that are from transition areas, and regions that are more developed. What we do when we have the application in front of us is that we look at this beautiful map that you can find on the website of the European Commission. And we try to identify the area covered by the policy instrument, if it is from a less developed, for a more developed. So you try to have a good, you need to try to have a good balance between the two. And even more important, because we are talking about maps, we have a second map on our desk all the time that we are assessing the application. And this one is this map. This is the map with the transnational cooperation areas. Because, and this is very, very important, you can have all the 4 out of 5, or even 5 out of 5 areas covered, and you would say, it is all fine, my project will pass the criterion on the partnership. However, if most of your partnership is concentrated in one of these transnational cooperation area, then unfortunately you'll have lower chances of getting a good score on the quality of the partnership. Why? It is very simple. If most of your project partners come from instance from the Mediterranean area, then the project should be financed by the transnational cooperation program for this specific area. Our project is our program is designed to make regions from all over Europe, from different parts of Europe, to cooperate together. So very, very attentive to the way you build your partnership. This was one of the main source of rejections in the quality assessment due to quality of partnership. The fact that the project partnership overlapped one of the transnational cooperation area. So go print this one, have it on your desk as well. Try to see that your partnership is not located, most of it, in a specific cooperation area.
Thank you, Laurencio. I can also see that people are asking if we can share links to those maps. Definitely we will do, and we'll add also it to the email with the conclusions from this webinar, a direct link where you can find those maps on the European Commission's website. I also see a comment from Aneni, who is coming from the Republic of Moldova, who is saying that she's interested of regionalization of water and sanitization services by developing a water management and ideas to work on the project in that field. For this type of request, I think we already talked that you can check on the ideas, what institutions, if there are some ideas on the same subject, to get in touch. Maybe also today during the webinar we have some people who are working on this topic. Then it could be a good idea for you to find Aneni on our community and to write a message to her. We also heard from Ukraine that it's also a topic that is very important for them, and I think it can be also a good opportunity for you to remind that in addition to the project, we also have the policy learning platform services, and I think in such type of cases it can be also useful. Maybe Lorenzo, you would like to say a few words about that.
Yes, it's a very, very complex question because it goes more into activities, touches to policy instruments. So this is also a good moment to remind you that we will have tomorrow a session on the activities that are eligible on the project, on designing the project methodology. And then it will be another session on finance, so you'll know what costs are eligible. But to get back a bit to this question that I will split in three. Water management as a topic, it's something that can be addressed in the frame of our program. And this is to answer the really first part of the question. Then creating an community development association, this is not really the purpose of our program, to create organizations or to create new policy instruments. So we imagine that this could be a spin-off from the project. In the project, you will create a stakeholder group in which several organizations will participate, and you will share with them the knowledge coming from the other European regions on the field of water management. And as a spin-off, this stakeholder group can become intercommunity development association. However, this should not be the goal. The goal of your project would be to improve the policy instrument that you are addressing. In this case, I imagine it needs to be a water management plan. But you're mentioning here a feasibility study. So our program, once again, will not support you in financing feasibility studies. This is not a research program, and this is not a program for studies and implementation-oriented activity. You are in Interreg Europe because you want to see how water management is tackled in different parts of Europe. You'll learn from the other partners. You'll visit this location. You'll see what equipment, what is the strategy behind it, how many resources, how they are managed. So these are the type of elements, knowledge that is passed from one region to the other. With this one, with the lessons learned, you can come back home to try to create a feasibility study, to try to create a roadmap, but these are activities that are outside the project and are not financed in the frame of the project. And I hope I clarified a bit the question, or at least I directed you towards more towards the spirit of our program.
Thank you very much. I think it was a very good question also to explain really the sense of our program, and indeed what are the core elements. And we talked today, indeed we are talking about the project development. In some cases, when there are some ideas, or like Laurencio was saying, if it's a project about the water management plan, to see how it's also tackled in different countries. If you at this stage do not have yet the full partnership, and you see it's not possible to apply for the third call, our program is also offering the expert services via the policy learning platform, where it's possible to contact via the expert help desk to share your challenge and to ask maybe experts know some examples, let's say, in the other countries, or organize a peer review. It really all depends how the challenge looks like, but it can be a bit lighter also involvement in the Interreg Europe program. But we are not talking about Interreg Europe policy learning platform today. It's just for this specific request. I think it might be also one way to consider to get involved in the program. Today, together with Laurencio, we were talking about the project development, the third call, preparing your applications for the third call. And Laurencio, I would like to thank to you for answering all those easy and not easy questions from our participants. We also have a feedback form now as the pop-up on the screen you can see. So please let us know what you think about this webinar, and let us know what improvements we should do, because in the upcoming days we are also running the other series of the webinars dedicated to the project development. All the tools related to the project development are published on our website. You see in the menu the 6 indeed steps. You can use our form to check project assessment. There is a link to see to approved projects and the project ideas. You can share your project idea if you have to make it public to the others. You can also, as step number 4, it's the tool to find the project partners. And the step number 5, we numbered, it's ask for feedback, the form we were talking with Laurencio. And if you have not used it yet, you really have a project idea that is mature, it's really the tool we recommend you to use, because it allows you to get a feedback from the Joint Secretariat on your project application. And really then you can spend the last month, the last weeks to fine-tune, to make sure that once the application is submitted, it gets the maximum points via the assessment and gets approved, and you can start then successfully implementation of the project. And the tab number 6, it's apply for project. It's where you can find all the call-related documents. The deadline to remind is the 7th of June, and you need to push the button to submit your application by midday, 12 o'clock Central European Time. It's really a deadline that you need to follow. It's a very strict deadline, and you do not, if you want to submit during the 3rd call, you really need to write it down. And even, I mean, our advice is not to postpone till the last minute and do submission a bit earlier. With this information, I would like to thank once more to Laurencio, who was with me today in the studio, to Ilaria, who was answering the questions in the chat, to Hannah, Petra, Julie, who were all supporting a successful run of this webinar. The upcoming webinars for this week, for this lead applicant webinar week, as we are talking, are tomorrow on Tuesday, on the 16th of April, we are talking about the project methodology. On the 17th, the finance team will be here in the studio, and they will give you the tips about the management of the budget and the finances. And on 18th April, on Thursday, it will be the morning you will spend with our communication team, with my team, and we will talk about the project communication, how to describe all activities related to communication in the project application form. So with this, I would like to thank you for your active participation, for very, very good questions. We wish you a good afternoon of today, and we hope to see many of you also tomorrow at 10 o'clock talking with us, joining us for the webinar about methodology and the other webinars of this week. Have a good day, and see you in the other webinars dedicated to the lead applicants.